Welcome to the Intercut podcast channel. I'm your co-host, Zachary Shevich, and joining me, coming at you faster than a blue shell, it's Arturo Zurita.
We're here to talk about all things Super Mario Bros. The new one. The Super Mario Bros. Not to be confused with the old classic. Did you know it was so difficult to find the original one? Like, they've scrubbed that, so, like, you got to go to the browser's dungeon to find that.
It's
not on Just Watch.
Even.
Nah, it's like there's nowhere to rent it on streaming. It is lost completely. There's actually, you have to go to Super Mario Bros. The movie archive. They're the ones doing the good Lord's work and making sure that those pipe dreams are still alive over there. But
nice.
However you want to see it, it's because they got a new one in the works.
I don't need to rewatch the old one because it's like burned into my nightmares. But the new one, I think, is not going to have the same effect on little children.
Probably not, but
Probably
it is meant for them.
Yeah, I think they might enjoy it. Super Mario Bros. Is the movie adaptation of the legendary Shigeru Miyamoto video game character, the iconic Nintendo game icon. The movie, of course, features Mario and his brother Luigi traveling from their home of Brooklyn to the Mushroom Kingdom, where they have to help Princess Peach stop the invasion of Bowser. Art, were you a big Mario fan? I think you're more of a PlayStation guy. How much Mario have you played?
I go Nintendo straight to PlayStation. We just skipped over the Xbox in this household over here. But before I had my first PlayStation with the whole little TV going with it, I had a Super Nintendo. Every time I would go to Mexico, I'd bring that Super Nintendo with me, and I would grip it. I'm one of those players who, when I'm jumping with the remote control over here. So I'm also one where, when it came to the original movie, I rented that bad boy from Blockbuster so many times that I just know a lot of the iconography from it. So rewatching it, I'm like, dang, there's a lot to note here. This movie right here is for those who want an Easter egg-filled movie that they'll be able to point and go like Ready Player One. I know that. And the movie, in case you miss anything, will also have a ginormous arrow pointing at something going, do you remember this character right here? And in the realm of animations that are for kids, that are for families, which I think is that perfect sweet spot, right? And then what's mainly for adults, you got that little pendulum. Either of them can be good. This is not a negative, but it's very clearly, out of those three, a movie geared for kids. I'd say even more so than the Despicable Me movies.
Absolutely, yeah. I think a lot of children skewing animation, which we're just sort of talking about PG family animated films in general, right? A lot of them try to hook in the older demographics through jokes that maybe go over kids' heads, little references here and there, and sometimes it's just through like iconography, right? Like there are moments in the soundtrack here where they play like Take on Me by Aha, and that's definitely there for like the parents of the kids, right? And I think they're relying on a lot of the parents of the kids having that built-in knowledge of having played the games, of knowing like, oh, they're doing a Mario Kart thing. Oh, they're doing a Super Smash Brothers thing. That's a bullet bill from those games, right? Like, rather than have you recognize references to pop culture or like innuendo that might go over a kid's head, they're just hoping you recognize Mario stuff. And like, as a person who has played a lot of Mario, it's kind of cool. Like, I at some point stopped really taking notes on the movie in my notebook and just wrote down like, yeah, that's a thing I reckon. That's a thing I reckon. That's another thing I recognize. And I filled up 2 full notebook pages. But like, you know, Easter egg hunting isn't necessarily a movie.
Well, in this day and age, for those Easter egg hunters out there, which, you know, I was a proud one myself, I still do it to this day. You can't leave the game. You guys are eating better than Mario does, when he's in a mushroom land. For the screening that I went to, you told me that they had you down in the dungeon. This is a movie. I don't know if you saw a film that's going to be released in IMAX. You don't need to see it in IMAX. It's nice and wide. But, and this is a really big thing, it is meant to be mixed in 12-track audio. That's really special. We usually talk about the size of the screen. 12-track audio is only for IMAX, and that means that they're adding all of these different sounds. The last movie to really do that was The Batman. So they're going all out on the soundscape for this one, and how Zach mentioned, that's probably the thing that has the most Easter eggs. Like, obviously, visually, there's so much on screen.
Oh, yeah.
But sound-wise, if you are really curious to get the most of it, it's not any IMAX out there. It needs to be a 12-track IMAX type of place. And yet, Zach got put in the dungeon of the Lincoln Center.
Yeah, they just don't treat us critics right.
We had a blown out speaker on the right, but the picture, which is really what people are going for, was pretty clean. I believe it's fully for kids. I know I got a big head. They gave us the Mario and Luigi ones over at our screening, which shout out to the Chicago screenings when they invite us.
Jealous.
They treat us well.
Yeah.
It don't fit me though. This is definitely for kids. They also gave out these little pins over here.
Definitely.
They gave me the Bowser pin.
Ooh.
They gave me it's kind of clean, bro. Pretty decent.
Why is the Bowser pin so big compared to the rest of them?
Well, because it's Bowser, baby. Come on. Look at that. That's beautiful right there. Probably the coolest thing that they had was the bag. I just thought the tote bag was pretty decent. It was kind of clean there. Pretty nice.
You cleaned up at the screening.
I had to take something because I wasn't taking a great movie experience with me.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Now.
Like, look, I mean, why we should say, like, it does feel very lovingly crafted for those people who are really going to care about the Easter eggs, right? Like, they have all these little moments. Even like there's a moment where Mario gains some speed and he does this little funny run that he does with his like arms out at his side, and they get all that stuff perfectly. The even just little enemies that they pass by, it's like where you recognize that from the game. It's cool. Like, there's a jump drift in the movie. It's cool, all the little bits that they get in there. It's just like, and I also felt like they did a pretty good job of expanding on what we know about the Mario universe while not making it feel like completely alien to it, because the games don't exactly have like a full movie story.
He jumps into paintings. Them, right? Yeah, he's being chased by bombs. So
adapting it for a film, I thought they mostly did a pretty good job of not making it too different.
You know when you're waiting in line at an amusement park, and they play like a movie?
Yeah.
This is that movie. They are timing this to the release, or the grand opening of the Universal Studios Super Mario World. It looks awesome. You watch this movie, and it feels like a commercial for that. The score in this feels like the score that is meant to be listened to outside at the theme park while you're waiting for the whatever Mario snacks. A lot of this feels like little moments that are... Honestly, it feels like a trailer for, like, DLCs. There's moments where characters look out and they go, wow, there's so many... And without even spoiling the line, possibilities of where you can take the franchise. Nothing has felt like the beginning rev your engines of a huge series that is to come than this movie. That doesn't mean people will hate it.
No.
But in terms of like the Lego movie, which the writer of this movie worked on, he also worked on Big Mama's House. So nothing but classics prior. It's not to that level, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I was really hoping that it could be something like the Lego movie. But at the same time, I don't know if the Lego movie spawned off what they wanted to, because we were getting one of those a year and then it kind of died out. So I feel like this is them course correcting and going, all right, y'all didn't eat the creativity. We're going to do this and we're going to play it safe. And look, it's not a terrible movie, but play it safe, it does.
Yeah,
very much
we're
so.
in an era where a lot of studio big blockbuster animated movies are finding really interesting creative paths to finding a middle ground,
taking risks,
where you really entertain younger audiences, but really have enough substance there for the older audiences as well. And in a world with Lego movies, with Across the Spider-Verses, with like the best of the Pixars out there, it's just like, this doesn't really have that. It's really more firmly in the this is for kids and people who have a nostalgic connection to it camp. That being said, like, I do think the fact that it was more of like an origin story maybe was a little bit I don't know, brought it down a little bit for me. I wonder if maybe it will be more fun now that they've entered into the world, now that we don't need that whole like framing device, now that Mario doesn't have to prove his dad wrong for some reason.
I thought the best parts were before they enter the Super Mario world. Before they enter the Mushroom Kingdom, I thought it was really cool. The way that they had the frame filled with a bunch of different things. I was like, yo, this is one where you're going to have to pause and rewatch a bunch of things. In knowing the game and knowing that it's a platform, they do a really sick platform bit at the beginning.
The side-scroll bit, yes. It's so good.
Then they enter the world and they're like, do you just want to see stuff from the games? Here, hit this box. And then it's the stuff from... Bro, it was like you were watching Mario Maker up on the screen, bro. Like, there was no rhyme or reason for why things happen. A game tutorial, yes. It was a whole walkthrough of just the different things that you can see in this world. And it almost felt like a blender. They were going for every single reference they could get. I'd be surprised if there's one that they're missing. Look, they get so deep. I'm not going to lie, I had some that I really liked. There's a lot of shout-outs to the original movie that I thought were really cool. Specifically, like, where they're shooting and specific lines that certain characters say. So it's not that they don't care. All the attention to detail, and probably what most people care about, which is the animation, all of that is a knockout. They do a really good job with that. There are textures in this movie that are fantastic. We mentioned the sound mixing. While I think it's very... in your face, like what all the Easter eggs sound-wise are, it's mixed beautifully if you have good speakers.
Yeah.
Why does the voice acting... Zach, it's not even voice acting. They literally hire these people. I know everyone was iffy on this. They hire these people to just stop in the middle of playing Donkey Kong and just be the actor they hired. In the middle of being Bowser and just be the actor they hired. I am not a fan of that. At all. Mm-hmm. This is probably the worst part of the movie for me. It felt pointless in hiring these people.
Especially because they do a little bit of like a bait and switch with their voices in the beginning, and they give you a little bit of the Italian accent right at the top, and then they're like, "Oh no, we're just putting that on." And not only that,
and they're putting on a lot more.
They have the cameo from the Mario voice actor right at the top too. And it just is like this tease of what the movie could have maybe been. I kind of wish they did lean into that a little bit more. I don't really have a problem with Jack Black's performance. And I kind of like... I didn't think that Chris Pratt was as bad as I was going to expect. But
was
like,
he great?
It's not like real voice acting either.
That's exactly what I mean. But Jack Black has a sequence where when he plays Bowser, I'm not going to lie, I like this Bowser. Then he just stops playing it and just does the Jack Black Pick of Destiny. Yes.
Yeah.
Yo, Anya, I am glad that it had to go to someone who was just going to do a generic recording.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it's Anya. I'm glad she got her money. But damn, it could have been anybody.
Yeah. That was one maybe like little bit of adaptation disappointment. Like, I know that you're not going to make Princess Peach into like the classic damsel in distress because everybody's seen the Anita Sarkeesian videos by now.
You know, flip it.
But like, yeah, I think there's still a way to make Peach feel more like the characters from the games without having her be like a Jordan Peterson nightmare come to life. I don't know.
I thought her outfits were pretty dope. I think the way that they designed her and a lot of the stuff that she does is cool.
Visually, it was awesome.
The way she's written and the voice work they had Anya do was kind of just like, okay, that's all right. So in that sense, all of the Hollywood side of it, I didn't really care for that much because I feel like you could spend more on the animation and everything that you want to, not on big voice acting. But shout out Keegan-Michael Richardson. It's the only real voice actor primarily mentioned.
So is this a stay at home for you, or is this more of a Junior Price?
For me, like if you're going out with the boys. For you? Yeah? Well, that's not that bad. For me, if you don't have kids, if you don't care for this franchise, you could stay at home. You'll be able to watch it. Honestly, for sure. Save up money to go to the theme park. They'll be playing it while you're waiting in line for a churro or something. If you are a big fan, and especially if you have kids, it's an automatic yes. Take them to go see this movie. They're going to love it. I know prices are expensive, but they're going to have a blast with it. It is a fantastic kids movie. As a family movie, make it a matinee if you're going with everybody to make it cheaper.
Right.
But yeah, it's colorful. It's everything that I'm sure a lot of kids would want to go see and definitely want to go then play the video games. And for that, I think it's very successful at being, as we've been saying for a lot of these video game movies, you said it for The Last of Us, At what point are we turning the movies into an advertisement to the real stuff, which is the games and the merch?
We'll see. I don't know, man. I do think this movie is going to be mega successful, partially because like it's got the Illumination, Despicable Me kind of approval, and it's also got like the recognition of the Mario character, which is, you know, obviously iconic for generations now. I suspect it's going to be like, if not the biggest box office success of the year, then like close to it. I could see it doing over 100 million opening weekend, not just because like this movie is hotly anticipated, but there hasn't really been a big kids movie in theaters since Puss in Boots. It's been a clear runway for Mario.
True.
And it doesn't really look like we're going to get another one until The Little Mermaid in late May. So it's got a month and a half here to just kind of pile on the money. I don't know. I think it could be a big return for Universal here.
I agree. And if you can't make it to the park, at least you can make it to a theater. Definitely a lot cheaper than that.
All right. So I think that's all we wanted to really say on our Mario recap review. But you can catch more Intercut podcast here on the channel. Listen to every episode on iTunes, Anchor, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcatcher is. I like Overcast. And then make sure you subscribe not just to the audio feed, but to the video feed as well here on YouTube at youtube.com/intercutpod, where you can watch our bright smiling faces as we break down the latest in entertainment. Find new episodes of our weekend must-watch live stream on Mondays on YouTube. And please leave us a comment, like this video, comment below, and consider heading over to iTunes to give us that much requested 5-star review. You can do it on Spotify too. Like our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter profiles. Also support us on Patreon. You can find all of those at Intercut Pod. Get updates throughout the week from Art, from me, from all the guests that we feature here on Intercut. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, Mamma Mia.